Hello and welcome to the video lecture on transforming weak entities into relations. So now we should have a pretty good understanding of what a weak entity is. Weak entities cannot stand on their own, right? So for instance, an order, when we talk about customers and orders, you cannot have an order that doesn't have a customer associated with it. It makes no sense. Somebody had to have made that order. Also, an employee and a dependent. Obviously, you can't have a dependent listed in a dependent table unless they're associated with an employee. So these are examples of weak entities. So a weak entity is going to be a relation that's set up, probably already exists, should already exist. Obviously, if it's a weak entity, it already exists as an entity in your ER diagram. It should have, as part of its primary key, a foreign key taken from the parent entity. That foreign key should be part of the primary key. So again, the primary key should be composed of some kind of identifier that's in the weak entity, along with the primary key of the parent entity or the strong entity. So let's take a look. If we look at a diagram like this where we have employee and dependent, we have employee ID and the employee name. The employee is going to claim one or many dependents, right? So in this case, we only have the maximum cardinality, so it's one or many dependents. The dependent name is made up of first name, middle initial, last name. They have date of birth and gender. So when we convert these into relations, they look like this. So we've got employee, which has employee ID and employee name. And then we've got our dependent. And again, since dependent has a multi-valued, right, or not multi-valued, a composite primary key dependent name, which is first name, middle initial, last name, when we make that a relation, all of those attributes have to be broken out. Then we've got the employee ID, which is how we join back to the employee table, so that's the foreign key, the date of birth, and the gender. Now the primary key of this dependent relation is going to be the combination of first name, middle initial, last name, and employee ID. And that's simply the way we're going to work with weak entities. If you think about somebody like George Foreman, whose all of his sons are named George, we're going to have to hope that all of their middle initials are different. All right, things along that line. And that will conclude my video lecture on transforming weak entities into relations.